start recording.
All right, cool.
Here we go.
All right, guys, cool. So we're back here on another Sunday market blitz every Sunday. We're going to run through all these charts. I'm going to cover 6+, give you guys my ideas for the week. So let's get right into it. So just to break down the method that I'm going to be running through here is I'm going to jump to the daily time frame and just assess the daily trend. That's really it. I want to see what the major trend is on the daily. Then I'm going to drop to the 4-hour and cover both these two trade scenarios. So one trade scenario is blue, the other is orange, and both represents, one bullish, one bearish trade. Okay, so we'll get into that in a second. First thing we need to see is the overall trend here, which is very much bullish, right? What are the characteristics of a bullish trend? Higher highs, higher lows, breaks of resistance, transition to the upside. That's exactly what we're seeing here. Okay, so this is DXY. We're actually not going to trade this like a normal pair. We more or less just analyze this as an indicator. Okay, so the dollar makes up for 80% of all trade. It's considered the reserve currency. Whenever you see something big come out of the dollar, it'll usually ripple through the market. So it's good to kind of understand what the dollar's doing, just so you don't get caught off guards and you're just a little more in tune with the market. Okay, so we're bullish here on the daily. Let's drop to the 4-hour now and just assess what price action's been doing and then what it could potentially do this next week. Okay, so recently we were ranging quite a bit between these two levels. Lots of reactions on both sides. We did have an attempted break here. Price action dropped all the way to major support at 94.6, came right back, and then we started disrespecting the range. So this is due to an influx of volume, huge rally to the upside. We bounced off resistance at 97.25, came right back down. That same volume, right? Huge movement, and then again blew right through the range. So ideally we want to, continue with this movement. It's pushing lower, but what do we need to see, right? We don't see much structure, right? It's just a huge volume drop. There's no, fibs you could really do on this. It's just a bit overextended. So we want to be patient with this, especially, after you see a large amount of volume enter the market, especially after news, you kind of want to be patient, right? It had a big impact on the market. It needs a break to take a breather and then to, follow some sort of normality again. So that's essentially what we want to see. I'd like to see some consolidation just below 95.8, hold this level as resistance, and then come in with that conviction. Hey, that would give me confidence in saying that, okay, the dollar's moving lower. It's looking more bearish now. Okay, but again, we need to see those reactions at this level, 95.8, to make sure that holds true, right? If price action does the opposite and breaks through 95.8, it more or less looks like it's going to continue to range, or that's the most likely thing, right? Or we could see that higher low, then we would push up towards 96.38, reanalyze, and then see if it's going to continue to range or not. Okay, so that's where we're at on DXY, right? Simple summary. It's a bit overextended. We just need to see a bit more to really understand where the dollar is going to go for the next week or two. Okay, so that's DXY. Let's move over to AU, first tradable pair. And again, we're going to do the same thing, same method, jump to the daily. What's the overall trend been? And just looking at this bit of structure, we've been moving lower since this point, right? We broke the weekly at 0.76, got lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, a bit of ranging in here, but still very much in trend, right? And then we push lower here, huge, what is this? No, we don't need that. Okay, so this is a huge push, huge overextended swing down towards the monthly at 0.7. Price action comes up, does a little dance around 0.72, which is a key level. Okay, this is where the transition took place. This was the area that was broken, where the new lower low formed after, right? So we wanted to see this level retested. Price action, again, danced in this area a little bit, didn't react perfectly, but it did present some confirmations there as a double top, and then we're moving back lower toward the monthly. So overall, still very bearish, right? So let's see if this is going to continue lower or if it's going to start to reverse. We're going to find those signs on the 4-hour. So let's drop down, take a look. And what do we see off the bat, right? Nice, steep bearish channel. We do have a little bit of volume here. It definitely tanked pretty hard off this level, this first lower high, and then shot straight to the monthly. That's that huge drop we're talking about on the daily right there. So here it is, hit 0.7, bounced off this level, but it's still respecting this channel to a degree, right? We got a nice lower high here, a little bit of a double top, good rejection off the upper trend line. Overall, it's still maintaining this channel. So we're going to try and play to that. Ideally, we could see a lower high below 0.71. That would give us a lot of confidence in considering short positions. And then the monthly would be a decent target as well. Okay, so very, very simple, right? Just trying to ride this trend, ride this channel, play to what we see, not forecasting anything, just waiting for reactions. Okay, so that's where we're at on the downside. If this does push above, I really want to see 0.71 cleared with a higher low above that. and then obviously follow through candlestick setups. And then you would be considering long opportunities if they present themselves. So for the sake of the risk to reward, let's take a look what it would look like if we could spot that higher low. You know what? I'm just going to block this for now. We can get this stop loss just below this higher low here and the support level. This should be absolutely great. We're well over 2-to-1. So this would make sense. Okay. So for our rules, it has to be at least 2-to-1 for us to even consider the trade. Okay. I'm not going to take a 1-to-1 trade. It's essentially gambling. You know, I at least want 2% if I'm risking 1% on a trade. So 2-to-1. So this one's pretty good. If it goes either way, we just got to wait. Okay. So that's AU. Let's move over to AJ. Same thing. Daily time frame. What's this one been doing? So this one's a little harder to kind of identify the trend. So let's just go through it. We'll start at the beginning over here, right? We're very bullish. We saw a bit of ranging. It was still holding at the high essentially, but more or less was flatlining at this point. It's a range. That means there's no real trend, right? We saw a transition here, broke this level, touched lower, retested, and then here was the real break, right? All this conviction in here kind of tanked AJ all the way down to 78.8. From here, we had massive reactions. Look at the volume, right? It tanks into this level, and then it comes right off that level like a rocket, right? That's good volume. Nice reversal. But then it kept doing that. So it did it again here, did it again here. This was more or less a high volume range for the time being. Okay, and then we got the breakout to the upside. Was looking more bullish at that point. Obviously, we just needed structure. Then once it came back through 81.5, we deemed it as ranging again, right? We wanted to see if this was actually going to hold up, wanted to see if it was going to continue to bounce, but it looked like it was going to, you know, sink a little bit to 78.8. Instead, it popped above again, made us, led us to believe that it was going to be bullish again. But then what happened? It broke right back below 81.5, and now it's kind of dancing around this level. So it's been hard to really spot an actual trend here. But right now, if you take a look at this price action, if this confirms as a higher low right here, starts pushing up, we'll get to it in a 4 hour in a second. But if this does confirm, then we're looking more bullish on the daily time frame for AJ. Okay, so it's a little tricky, but you know, we could be seeing some bullishness off this level right now. So let's drop to the 4 hour and get a closer look. I'll explain. And it actually looks a lot clearer here, as you can tell, right? So nice bearish channel, similar to AU, right? Nice key level at 81.5 right here, where we recently saw price action break out through. Okay, so it broke above. We got a higher low here. Didn't really follow through on this candle, just shot a wick. Not a great sign. We really wanted to see it kind of creep higher, but it's coming back for another retest now. And at this point, we're looking for strong conviction. So a nice bullish variation here. So nice, good size, 3 candles in a row, bullish candles. That would be reason enough to enter. Okay, so let's take a look at what this would look like risk to reward wise. Okay, we're targeting the weekly, about 130 pips. Okay, and just about a 2-to-1. Okay, depending on where you enter, where this conviction comes in, and if the candlestick setups are there, it's gonna slightly change your risk reward, but it's looking pretty close to 2-to-1, if not slightly above as of right now. So pretty good. Okay, if this fails to push higher, let's say that conviction doesn't come through. Instead, let's say it throws more or less a bit of a head and shoulders. I know somebody in chat is screaming that, right there, left shoulder, here's the head, here's the right shoulder, small reversal pattern. If that happens, something like that happens, and it fails to push higher, look for a break of 81.5 with a nice lower high below. Okay, that would be reason enough to enter short, target 80.40, and you get a really nice trade out of that. Okay, so either way this goes, I mean, we got some room to run. You just got to be patient. Don't get caught off guards on this. Wait for the real confirmations. Okay, don't enter on wicks. Wait for candle closure on 30-minute, 1 hour at least. Okay, and then take those trades as you see them play out. So yeah, that's AJ looking pretty good. This is a pretty steady channel. We thought it was going to reverse here on this pullback. We thought we were going to get another retest of 81.5 and then a dump, but didn't happen. So now we got to wait a little bit longer, but still close to an entry. So excited for this week. Let's see, Mike, what would you say? Would that be a solid break and retest? It would have been here. Like this would have been a great break and retest. And if this actually followed through and was the real entry, that would have been perfect, right? But this right now, it's not really considered just a quick break retest. It's kind of broke, and now it's kind of just consolidating a little bit, right? There's no direction in this bit of price action. The price action that just broke through this. Right? There's no real direction yet. So that's where that confirmation, those confirmation candles come in. Okay, but we're close. Just, a few more hours, maybe midday tomorrow we'll get something. But yeah, so let's move over to UJ, which is looking better. Still not great, but not bad. Let's go to the daily time frame, see what this is doing. What's the trend here? Overall, pretty bullish. And even right now, this is looking pretty good, right? So we had a nice higher low here. This is a higher low in that sequence. So it looks to be that we're moving higher and finally getting decent structure. So yeah, that's the daily bullish. Let's go to the 4 hour, see what this has for us. Okay. So we do have this bit of a pretty wide bullish channel. Okay, we had attempted break there, didn't really get through, but either way, it's highlighting that price action's moving up slightly. Okay, so from here, honestly, I'd like to see this push a little bit higher and then pull back for the higher low, just so we can get a decent fib in there. Because if you take a look, 38.2, I'd like it to be a little bit higher. So something like that. But essentially, we need to find our next structure forming higher low. So if price action came down, gave us a higher low right here, good confluence at 115, 38.2, and then we'd be looking to enter on strong bullish confirmations, right? So let's take a look at what this trade would look like. About 100 pips, risking less than 50. So well over a 2-to-1. Okay, it would look something like that. Again, after the higher low forms, and it is confirmed through bullish candlestick setup. So bullish variation, morning star, 3 good candles in a row, something like that. You just need to confirm the higher low. Okay, if this fails to push higher, let's say this is the highest we can get, price action falls back below 115, look for a lower high below, and then target 114.15, because then at that point, it's very likely that price action will reach this low over here again. Okay, but for now, looking more bullish, just need to see that higher low at 115, and then we would target towards this supply area up here around 116.25. Okay, and then you could even double check on the daily to see if your targets make sense. Okay, right, reaching the prior high, not choosing an unrealistic target, pretty modest, to be honest. But yeah, we'll see if it plays out. Okay, decent volume on UJ though overall. Just like to see that continue in this direction, that we can get some good trades. And now we got EJ, which looks like crap. I mean, I don't even know. Did this thing take a ride on like SpaceX rocket or something? This thing is so ridiculously up here right now. So this one also pretty difficult to spot the daily trend, but let's just go through it. We kind of just got to follow price action to, find the story here, right? So overall, we're very bullish. Okay, nice rally. Very overextended though. Came back down, then we were very bearish for a while. So it actually helps sometimes too if you use, channels. It kind of gives you an idea where you could spot the trend a little bit easier. Okay, very bearish, moving lower lows, lower highs, right? Those are characteristics of a bearish trend. And then once we got to this low here at 129, we started ranging. So all these little pokes above these levels are fake outs. Notice there's no higher low above, no lower high below. This is essentially a range with a lot of reaction. Okay, huge volume reactions. Okay, so we were neutral at that point. Went bullish here, then we were bullish. We're honestly just waiting for a higher low. Failed to happen. Once it started melting back below the range, we're bearish again. Okay, especially here once it dropped below this range. We were looking for lower highs. We're looking more bearish. Then it pushed back up. We're looking more bullish, waiting for higher lows. See the theme here, guys? A lot of fake outs. Hard to establish a trend when it keeps changing on you. So that's what volume does to you sometimes. Okay, so we're bullish again, came back down, found some support finally at 129, and then it took off from there. So what's one thing we know just on this daily time frame is we're looking more bullish, and there's a severe lack of structure. This is one candle, guys. This is a single day. That's absurdity, right? So there's no structure. So we need to find that, or we need to find a level where we could spot structure next, because obviously we're pretty far from a trade. We're not going to enter up at the high here based on nothing, right? So let's go to the 4 hour, get a closer look, see what's going on. So yeah, a little bit of ranging here, price action dropped. This was at a support level at 129. And then once it popped above, conviction kicked in, boom, absolutely gone. So for the sake of it, let's throw a fib on it, just so we can identify some structure points. And what I'm doing here is measuring from conviction to the current high. Okay, it doesn't mean price action can't keep going, because it very well could keep creeping higher and establish a zero up there. But for right now, this is all we have. This is all the information we got. This is all we can base this on. Okay, so now notice where 38.2 is. This is the first level where we would consider structure formation. It's below 131.45. Not really good, because if you look to the left, we've seen a lot of rejection there before. So a lot has to happen. Ideally, this would be probably the best bet. We see this creep higher a little bit in some sort of, consolidation phase, see a transition lower. And then what would this look like? Where would our fib then be placed? Okay. Boom, 38.2 lines up there, a little more confluence. And then that's where we would be interested in a higher low to then consider long entries. Okay, so this really sucks when you see this, when you see this much volume, because there's nothing you can possibly do but wait. Anyone who's trading this at this high here has no idea what's going on. Okay, so you gotta wait. Ideally, consolidation is your friend in this scenario, because you want a period of consolidation to happen, maybe in like something like that, before normal market structure will resume. Okay, so that's ideal. So that would be really nice. Nice little range like that. Last attempt to the upside, comes back finally to form structure, and then we'd be entering on something like this. Okay, makes sense, right? 3-to-1, good volume there. They're close to a 3-to-1. But yeah, essentially something like that needs to happen for us to even consider entering on this, because right now there's no high probability setups. I'm not in the business of gambling, so I want to wait until my parameters are met and the trade looks perfect for what I'm looking at, right? So this would be one example. Okay, if price action comes right back down, which it often does after speculation and high volume, it could just rip all right back. So your green light is going to be once we break 131.45. If you could get any lower high below this or near it, take the short, target 130, especially if the volume's kicking in. Okay, but for now, that's really all we got. We got to wait on EJ. So this one's at the bottom of the list, but interesting example. It's a learning experience. You get to, just experience different market conditions, essentially. Okay, so that's EJ, high volume craziness. So let's move over to gold, which is looking pretty good. Honestly, I'm excited for gold this week. So let's go to the daily time frame. Bullish, right? It's looking pretty bullish. Now we do know 1825 and 1785 has been a proven range in the past. Price action spent quite a bit of time between these two zones, but something's different now, right? We're actually getting higher highs and higher lows within this channel moving through the range. So it is looking a little more bullish right now, which is a good sign. Okay, I like gold to be bullish. There could be some great setups, and when gold is forming normal structure, it's absolutely beautiful. You can get massive amounts of pips on this thing. So looking bullish, pretty good, and we're at a low, just formed this higher low, so maybe we're due for a push, right? Let's see what the 4-hour says. Let's see what the 4-hour has for us. Okay, so here's that channel. Let's just zoom out so you guys get a quick little bigger picture of this channel. Here it is. Okay, good structure, good transitions throughout. We did see a little bit of chop in here, but then this showed promise, right? We had a nice rally, got a flag, then it continued. So a nice continuation pattern that had validity. Obviously, it had executed, pushed up, got a double top, then came right back down. Gave us a higher low where we expected. Huge confluence area, right? Trend line support at 1785. Prior lows, really good stuff. So there's a lot of confluence here. There's a minor transition at this zone. Price action popped above, retested, and then it's kind of been flatlining since then, which is somewhat surprising. I was expecting this to actually move quite a bit because the dollar is pretty correlated, inversely correlated to gold. But instead, it kind of just flatlined. It's holding its own, just chilling right now. So we have an opportunity here, right? It's very likely that this will continue higher into 1825 again. Now, this is the key zone. This is the zone that is kind of going to make or break this channel. Okay, if we move above it, we're looking for higher lows. We can get some great long opportunities there. But the more likely thing is that we're going to run into some sort of reaction here, as we've seen in the past many times, and could very well just keep ranging. Unfortunately, the range will end at some point, and it'll result in either a higher low above or a lower high below. But until then, especially when you have months and months of range data, the most likely thing is that it's going to happen when you're between the range. So I'm not going to, grab my crystal ball and tell you guys, this is it. This is the final break. We're done with the range. Mark the date, February 6th. Like, it's not going to happen. We don't know. You have to wait until you see it and then confirm it. Okay. And then we're good. Okay. So that's what we need to see to go long, but watch out for 1825. Okay, other than that, gold's looking pretty good. You know, if you could stay patient, execute when we see the opportunity present itself, and then we'll be in. But yeah, so that's all the analysis I have for you guys. Quick recap, I covered DXY, AU, AJ, UJ, EJ, and gold. And these are active charts, meaning that where we post them on TradingView, and then we take these links, we drop them in Discord and Telegram, and you guys can click on them, open them up, play them forward, and see how the analysis is actually, you know, working for you. Okay, so this is how you do it. You pull it up here, you click this, and then it's a playthrough chart, right? You'll see where we're at today. I just posted this, so obviously there's no development in price action, but throughout the week, this will be there for you. So it's a great tool. A lot of people utilize it. And we also, you know, appreciate the feedback. So that's pretty much all I got for you guys. I'm going to pass it off to Angelo. But yeah, thanks.
All right, word. Yeah, good job with the analysis. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hop into the chat, post anything up. Again, this is recorded for the people that hopped on a little bit later. So we'll post it up on YouTube afterwards. And I'm going to go ahead, share up and cover a few more pairs. I haven't had the time today to actually do my analysis yet. So we're pretty much just going to do the analysis together. So let me know when you can see my screen.
Go.
Good to go?
Yep. EJ.
All right, so let's just look at DXY one more time. Let's pull it up. And for those that don't know, we go over DXY literally every single session. It's just the value of the US dollar. So pretty much we can, when looking at the major pairs that are correlated with the dollar, we can make some assumptions based on whether DXY is trending, bullish, bearish, whatever the price action is doing with DXY definitely correlates pretty closely with these other pairs. So let's go ahead and just move up to the weekly time frame. We like to always start on this time frame. As you can see here, a couple weeks ago, I marked down this support level. So we have resistance, we have support, 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 all in this area. Then we have some resistance here. So we were expecting price to react pretty with a lot of volatility to this level. As you can see, we shot up 2 weeks ago above this area, and then look at the follow-up candle last week, came right down, respected the area, and closed with actually bearish engulfing. So sellers stepped in once price moved above this level to like the 97,500 area, and then just closed all the way down here at 95,500. So sellers are definitely in the market right now for the dollar, driving it down a little bit. I believe last week with NFP, that had some influence on what went on. So let's come down to the 4-hour time frame and just take a look. So yeah, this was Friday, you know, right around NFP, pretty much when this market pushed down. And then you could see, right, actually this was the 3rd, so that's the 5th, the 4th. No, yeah, this was like around Friday. So right now we moved back up. Why did I draw this line right here? This zone is from the 4-hour time frame. So basically we can see we have resistance, support, 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 all on this level. And now we retested this area. And as you can see, we already have a little bit of a wick here. So this is telling me we just had a break and retest of a major support level. We could potentially now see a rejection of this area, and sellers could continue to drive this thing down into the next support level, which would be right around this area, and then ultimately lower down into this area right here. So this is what we're kind of looking at for DXY. Overall, pretty bearish on this for now. So that being said, let's hop into some of the other pairs. Let's start off with USD Cad. This was last week's analysis. So last week, on this call, we were going over USD Cad. We were expecting it to come down into the support level, starts to consolidate, and then push up. So this doesn't happen that often, but this like reacted exactly how we kind of mapped it out. So I just want to go over what actually went on here so we can look at it as sort of a lesson here. So coming back up to the weekly, on the weekly time frame, we have our key levels. We have our upper level here. We have our lower level here. We were at this lower level of support 2 weeks ago that we pushed up, and then we were just expecting a retrace following this candle because it was such a large move upwards on this. So we figured buyers are a bit exhausted after a move like this. We're going to come back to retest. That's when we drop down to the 4-hour time frame. We're just trying to keep things very simple. What level would it make sense to retest before finding support? When we were up here, we were looking to retest this level. This is resistance, support. So this is this previous support and resistance level, this previous higher high and higher low. And then as you can see, price came right into that level. We started to reject it. When we went over this, we were saying once price comes into this level, we're not going to just buy right away. We're going to actually wait for some sort of transition on the lower time frame. So coming down to the 30-minute time frame, you can see here we were in this downtrends. It was trending pretty nicely. Boom, and then we started to get all this consolidation right around the support level. And then ultimately we had this break, then we had a retest, and then it pushed up. So let's break this down a little bit further. We go over this inside of the course. This is really simple concepts here. It's literally just in a downtrend, we're forming these lower lows and these lower highs. And then the point at which we start to look for buys is when we break one of these previous lower highs. So when we break above like this, then we look for the first higher low, which is normally a retest of this level, but it can retest all the way down to this previous low here and still be considered that first higher low to establish the new bullish trend. So this is exactly what we're looking at right here. We're looking at a break of this previous lower high, which is pretty much this entire level right here. We had this break to the upside. So we broke this previous lower high level, made a new high, came back. We respected the lows. This is also a demand zone down here. So we hit a demand zone over on the 30-minute time frame. You know, we had rejection. This is enough. This is where we should be looking for the buys right in this level, because we've identified so many confirmations at this point. We've gone up on the highest time frame, confirmed that this is an area that we're looking to take advantage of. On the weekly, we know that overall we're bullish. 4-hour time frame, this is a key level. And then 30-minute, you got structure changing in the direction that we want to buy. So at this point, we should be fairly confident to actually enter trades just based on like less confirmation, like a bullish engulfing or a morning star or some sort of just rejection of this lower level. So this is basically the trade. This is how we teach it in the course. This is very simple. Just break and retest strategy. This is just trading with structure. So that's how you could take advantage of this move on USD Cad. And at this point now, it's obviously already moved to the upside. So that move is pretty much done. So we're going to just clear this up. And this is what I'll do from the previous week. I'll just clear up my charts, and then I'm looking for the next possible setup. So whenever I do that, I'll hop back up to the weekly time frame. And I'll just get an idea. All right, where are we at on the weekly time frame? Weekly, we're still within this level. We're still within this level. We just had a rejection in this area. It's very likely we're about to come back and retest these highs right here. So coming down to the 4-hour time frame, you know, we don't want to buy at a higher high point, which is up here. I'm just going to go ahead and, or no, we'll leave this on. So where would I want to get in on my next potential trade? I always want to get in on a retest. So looking at how this was a previous level of resistance, this is the area where I want to now look for a potential trade. We want something similar to what happened last week. We want price to come down in this area. We want the 30-minute to start to consolidate around the support level and then look for some sort of break. And then we're going to look for this to create a new high point to break above this area right here. And if we're doing the same thing we did last week, say we did take a trade right here, you're going to put stops below the support level, and then your targets, you're always going to look left. We could target the high. We could target this previous high. We could target the red zone. So this creates a very favorable risk reward trade right here. And again, it's just very simple break and retest strategies in line with the higher time frame. So USD Cad, this is what we're looking for. Let's just shoot back to the dollar and keep one thing in mind. So The dollar, we're looking to go bearish, right? So the dollar, we're actually looking to lose value. Now looking at USD Cad again, with that in mind, if the dollar starts to push down right off of this resistance level, that means that CAD will most likely, USD Cad will most likely push down as well. And we are looking for it to push down based on what we just went over. So if this thing starts to lose some value, maybe 0.2%, this isn't correlated directly, but you know, say this thing starts to lose some value here, we're expecting this thing to go much lower, right? So say this thing drops all the way down to where we're predicting it to go, drops down to like 0.88. That would mean USD CAD would most likely continue to push down, maybe back into this support level, maybe even lower. So we do want to be aware of that. We want to see some sort of reversal on DXY. Maybe DXY actually early in the week breaks above this resistance and then starts to do something like this. And then this would back up our trade idea on USD CAD a little bit more. So that's something that I would keep an eye on if you are going to use this analysis and potentially trade USD CAD. So next, let's go into GBP Jpy. So last week, you know, we had this trade idea. It became invalidated. Obviously, not every trade hits, so it is what it is. But this was the idea. So I'm going to go ahead and just clear this off because it's a new week. Luckily, we can come into this week and trade again. And this is why we're always saying in the chats, you know, use risk management, risk 1%, because you're going to lose trades. At the end of the day, you're not always gonna win. You're not gonna have 100% win ratio. So it is what it is. So let's come up to the weekly and see what's going on. So weekly time frame, we were going to start just looking at our levels like we always do. We've got our weekly level based on resistance, support. We have support along this area. We have resistance, 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 resistance. So where the hell are we? We are still below this very important key level at 157,300, right about this area. So we're sitting below here. We have a retracement now back into this area. So to me, the best place to look for shorts is once price gets back into this resistance level, back into 157,300. So coming down now to the 4-hour with that in mind, this is actually pretty bullish now, right? So it was in a downtrend, and then all of a sudden, boom, we had this break. And now we're in this like little bullish trend on the 4-hour time frame. I would personally want to take buys in one of two positions, either in this area right here, or if price does make it down to retest this previous high point, this is also an area. The reason I would want to line this area up is because look left, this is this previous support area. And we could even move this up a little bit. So I'm drawing this based on resistance and support all along this area. So this is a little key level. And then down here is obviously the previous higher high that had been broken. So that's always going to be a level. And if we bring on the fibs and just fib this, we can see we've either got 38.2 here or 61.8. And these are the main areas that we're always looking for reversals at on the fibs. So it lines up pretty well. So we're definitely in a potential area to look for a buy. You know, say we lined up a buy right now, we had stops below the support level, and we're just targeting this previous level up here. Because remember, once we get in this area, we're actually looking for sell opportunities, right? Because this is a key area that previously was rejected. So we are looking for price to get up here, but this is a potential swing trade back into this area. We've already got some rejection of the support level. This is a little bit early, but this is potentially a trade idea for the week. And then say this thing did get invalidated, depending how much it consolidates here, we then could look for a position down here. So that's my idea on GJ. We've got Brian, we got a question. Do you guys ever use other dollar index to help when taking a trade, like check a CAD index with DXY? I personally never have checked another index. Have you done any of that, Nick?
Yeah, I used to do the yen index, but I found it a little unnecessary. The only reason we really look at the dollar is because it's the number one currency. If like the yen was the number one currency, we'd be considering that in our analysis at the beginning, opposed to DXY. It's just, it's a reserve currency. That's why we look at it.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, no, I agree. I think the dollar index, obviously it's the reserve currency, so it's definitely the most important one to look at, and it affects so many pairs. I think at that point, when you're looking at the CAD index, look at the dollar index, you're kind of looking at too many things, in my opinion, at that point. Unless you create
right?
rules around those indexes. Like if you look at the dollar index and USD CAD, GU, and NU, for the most part, they are moving very much in correlation, very similar like BTC and most of these altcoins, right?
Right.
So I don't think you need to hop too much into the CAD index, but maybe check it out, see how it is on your own, and see if you
Although
can
that
create some
is
sort of strategy around it.
that is a good point. Yeah, because like if you're just like let's just say for the sake of the argument, right, that someone has a strategy where they're only looking at CAD pairs, like then it would kind of make sense to look at the index for CAD as well, but overall, if you're trading majors, they're mostly going to be influenced by the dollar, just from what we've seen.
Yes, sir. So that's GJ. Let's hop into GU. GU is like normally very correlated. As you can see, same as last week, we got invalidated on an idea on GU. But that's completely okay. So GU and GJ are very similar. They're always trading similar. If you guys have been on our sessions before, you'll see that we're always having very similar ideas on both of these pairs. So let's just go ahead. Again, this is what I do every week. Normally I'll do this before the session, but I haven't had a chance to look at the charts yet. So we're going to go ahead and hop up to the weekly. This is exactly what I'll do. So weekly time frame, I'm looking at two things. Well, technically three. Looking at the key levels, I'm looking at price action, and I'm looking at where's the overall direction of the trend, right? So we, a couple weeks ago, murdered this trade on GU, this retracement, and then this sell-off. Now we're getting a retracement a little bit higher than we originally thought. And you can see we just formed this price action here. So this is an inverted hammer candle. So market came down here, very little wick to the downside, pushed up, and then we had some pullback. But this is actually a bullish signal right here. This inverted hammer is actually a bullish candlestick formation. So let's keep that in mind. The market at this point now, the best place to sell this again would actually be up in this area. This is like basically a supply zone. Let's just move this over. Back up here, back at these highs would be a pretty ideal area to sell again. Until it gets back up here, I'm actually pretty weary on selling this because of the fact that we just had a break and retest of this lower trend. We went over this a little bit earlier. This is what we're seeing on the 4 hour. We're seeing lower highs being formed. And then what happened here? We had a break of the lower high. And like I said before, most cases we're looking for the first high or low to actually get in on a buy opportunity. So very similar to GJ, we're looking for GU to potentially push to the upside. And we're in a great area right now to actually take a buy. We're retesting this previous high point. If we lined up a trade, this is pretty much what we would be looking at. We'd be looking at targeting up here. And because of the fact the risk reward is so great, and we don't have a ton of confirmation at the bottom here, this hasn't actually formed any sort of break of structure on the lower time frame, and we do have like a minor break of support here. We do want to see the market consolidate a little bit more before taking an entry. If you did enter now, you'd want to give yourself a lot of room for a potential move down, where you can then scale out if it does start to go against you. So I'd be going more for something like this. But keep in mind, right, GU, if it moves up, and remember, we were talking about the dollar. We're expecting the dollar to push down. That's what it's looking like. We're below resistance. We're overall bearish, right? If the dollar pushes down, GU will most likely push up. So this is in direct correlation with the dollar index. If it continues to confirm that it's bearish, so this actually seems to be a pretty good trade idea, a little better than USD Cad for this week. So next, let's look at Nzd USD. This was the trade idea last week on Nzd USD. This one obviously played out very similar to UCAD. It played out pretty well. So let's just come back. I'm going to go over Bitcoin at the end, Taha. We do have a pretty big move up on Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, we've been getting some gains lately, boys.
Yeah, the Bitcoin pump, dude. The Bitcoin pump is upon us.
Yeah, it's definitely in a good area.
It's pretty
excited
wild.
to see it.
So let's finish off with NU for the Forex, and then we're gonna go over to some crypto. We're gonna cover some crypto pairs. Let's see, Morningstar on the weekly. No, I wouldn't say this is a Morningstar. Not yet. Morningstar would be this candle, doji, and then a candle that covers the 50% of the bearish candle. And this wick would also leave me very weary, even if we did have a doji here, that to call this a Morningstar. And I don't think this even covers 50%. We have 760.
Oh, he meant BTC.
Oh, and BTC. Oh, okay.
Jumping the gun.
BTC will get in. We'll look at it. I don't know if I would even classify BTC as a Morningstar either. But we'll take a look. And regardless, there definitely is some bullish price action there at the support level that it's at. So we'll dive a little bit deeper into that. So NU last week, pretty much this is what we were looking at. We had an inverted hammer. So we had this big push down. Coming up to the weekly, we're back at one of these key levels. So these key levels, when price is in them, we are trying to take entries because we know price is going to move off of this area. Even though price had this huge push down, we're not getting tricked here. We're not like letting the retail psychology take over. We're not trying to continue to sell. We know there's going to be a pullback. It's very obvious that there's going to be a pullback. There's too much downside movement here without any retracement, and we're at a support level. Like, this is very simple logic here. So coming to the 4 hour, last week we were looking for the pullback, right? This was right on the session, and we mapped it out. We're always looking for consolidation, then a break, retest, and long. So this didn't consolidate as much as we thought, and I personally wouldn't have taken this trade because of the fact that price just came up, didn't really break anything major, broke a very minor level of resistance, not even like this level it broke, and then we had the retest, and then boom, we had this. So if anything, once price actually made this new high, this would have been a nice trade on the actual retracement here. This is 38.2, bullish engulfing, target the previous resistance. But this personally, even though it did go with our idea, I wouldn't have actually taken this trade because it didn't fit the mold of a setup that I would want to see. But regardless, did go with our idea, which is good. But that doesn't matter now. Let's just go with where price currently is. So bumping back up to the weekly, right? We have this inverted hammer. I am expecting price to move higher. I'm not trying to take sells until we're up here. I'm really not trying to take buys until we're back in that support area. So that doesn't leave us with much, right? If we did want to get kind of crazy with this and take a position, this would be considered more risky, in my opinion, very less high probability, but we do have a break of support here, followed by a potential retest. So if price retest this level, because remember, we're not trying to take buys till we're down here. We're really not trying to take sells until we're up here. This is like a more trading within the range, and it's just a very simple, we had an uptrend, right? We had this new higher high, and then we just broke. So we're always looking for that first lower high at the previous support level, now turned into resistance. So this would be the trade. Very simple, right? I wouldn't risk too much on this trade, but definitely enough there to potentially take the position. So that's my idea on NU for the week. Remember, dollar index, again, we're expecting the push down. This would mean the dollar index actually pushes up because we'd be looking for the dollar to gain some strength in this pairing. Someone said, ever use the 15-minute time frame? Personally, no. We're only going over the swing trading strategy. on this call right now. So me and Nick are only going over our swing trading ideas. In the course, we do teach 2 separate strategies. One of them is the swing trading. One of them is the intraday strategy that Hanzino is mentioning in the chat. That one we're actually trading specifically on the 5-minute. And it's a lot different than this one. We're only trading in the New York session for that one. You can apply it to London, but like I'm not awake during that session, so I don't apply it there. But the intraday is when we go down to the 5-minute and we only trade on that session. But this one, I literally only use the weekly, the 4-hour, and then sometimes the 30-minute if I'm trying to get really specific with the entries. But a lot of times you can just use the 4-hour and know what's going on the 30-minute without even looking. But if you did need to go to the 30-minute and like break it down, you could always do that. So that's it for my pairs. Let's hop over to BTC, see what the hell is going on. This was the idea last week. We're remaining bearish on this one. We're waiting for it to come up into this area. Obviously, trade idea got invalidated on that one. So let's hop up to the higher time frame here, because we have a serious break now. We were not trying to take buys until we got above 39, and we finally got above 39. I actually didn't realize how significant this closure was. So this thing just closed and is obviously very bullish. I don't, would you consider this to be a morning star? It's like a variation of it.
Yeah, I would consider it just didn't form in the most perfect spot. You know,
Yeah.
like technically, sure, yeah, but if it was above the support level, that would have been better, or even a little bit lower at a more crucial key zone.
It's still below the this little minor level of resistance, but I will say this. The thing with a morning star is a lot of the times we're looking for a consolidation at the bottom. That's what the doji is showing us. And then we're looking for this candle to form a bullish candle following the doji. That shows us that on the lower time frame, there was definitely a break of structure of some kind. Now, this was like a spinning top, which is still a reversal candle. So whether we call it a morning star or whatever, this is definitely a bullish pattern right here. And if we come down to the 4-hour, we can obviously see very bearish here. And then what happened? This is the spinning top. You know, price starts to move up, move down, move up, move down. This is all bullish. So it makes sense that the next area to take buys from would be in back on the retest of this 39. So 39 becomes a very critical zone for us to evaluate. Once we get back into the 39 area, that's when we're going to look for buy opportunities to swing trade on BTC, because price needs to stay above 39. So personally, you know, I think that we could be ready to move up. And we've been talking about these 10% closures on these candles, and they kind of start the bullish rallies here. So we just had a 15% close, or I guess 11%. If you count from here, it's like 15, but we had an 11% close, 12% to the upside. So if we're going based on what we've been talking about, this is very good bullish signal.
Yeah, this could be the start of the next rally, so to speak, right? You know, I just gotta stay above 39. So
this leads me to wonder about a lot of things, because, you know, fundamentally, what's going to be coming out maybe in the next week or 2 weeks, considering this is showing now a very strong bullish signal. You know, what fundamentally is going to start to come out to back up whatever the hell is driving this thing back up right now? You know, what's gonna happen? That's how I'm thinking, right? Because we need there to be a lot of fundamental, a lot of like bullish fundamentals to line up with these technicals. And right now, obviously, the technicals are lining up. And we've gone over this on a previous session. If you go back and look at every time BTC has sort of taken a little dump here, there has been, not every time, but most of the time, that BTC has had a 10% closure on a candle after a pullback. It has gone on a little bullish rally here. So you can see 12% here, 12% here. Now we have a 12% here, right? So every time we're seeing this, we had a 12% here, 17% here. This one was not, it was less than 10%, but down here we had a 12%. So very interesting. We'll see what's going to happen on this pullback. Yeah, fundamentally is very bullish.
Yeah.
I'm bullish on
looking good.
BTC. We're above the resistance. So let the games begin. We'll see.
That looks pretty similar as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
Ethereum had
yeah,
a
things are
little pop
looking
up
good.
here. We have Stellar. I've been covering this one quite a bit. I'll pull up F2. But Stellar, we've been talking about Stellar. It hit the support level at 20 cents, at 19 cents. We've had this drawn on here for quite some time. Same thing as the other pairs. We have support all on this area, resistance, support, and then price had come back into the support level. We had a doji, and now we just had a nice bullish candle form. So again, we're getting some bullish signals on these crypto pairs, and then Ethereum also had a nice closure here. This is more of a morning star right here. True and true. So
that's
Ethereum, nice closure too on the weekly. Definitely a lot of solid pressure. Thing moved up. How much did Ethereum move up? Let's see. See if we can measure this. Moved up about 18%. So 18% swing here. Let's see what happens, right? I personally am just bullish overall on crypto. I think everyone should be. I know there are some people that are not, but this is very simply some price action on Ethereum. And if we're just going based on what we just went over on the actual on Forex pairs, this starts to look interesting because this is a higher low that was broken, and now we're kind of retesting it. So we'll see. I think Ethereum has a little bit more to prove.
Yeah, just a little bit. That's a dangerous level right there.
Yeah, so it's gotta sit above this like 32.50 area for sure. But definitely like the volume right now. Like the volume. We'll see if it can follow it up in the next week or 2 weeks. Do you guys think that this BTC is easily manipulated? I mean, any move of like 25 BTC could move the market. It's a good question. I think that there's that when you're talking about that, you want to look into the volume a little bit more. We're not diving too deep into the volume, the trading volume of the sessions right now, like day-to-day volume. So maybe if you guys did want to pull that out and start to look at that a little bit more closely, maybe that would start to impact these decisions a little bit more. We're not really using volume at all on crypto or like bring that on our charts or anything like that. But I don't know. Personally, like I don't really think that 25 BTC move could move the market like that. What do you think, Nick?
I don't think it could move it, but I think it's better to just understand the nature of the market that you're in. Crypto is pretty volatile right now. It's still relatively new considering, just it's only been around for a few years, and we have been experiencing these crazy swings to the upside, right? Hundreds of percent. And then we're seeing 80% pullbacks. So I think it's more so just understanding the potential for the market where it could go parabolic or it could absolutely collapse your account. Rather than just focusing on manipulation, just, you gotta be aware that it's a pretty wild market. Crypto is not easy to trade, especially if you're doing it like a day trader wise, hodling, holding for a while, is a little easier, a little better for your mentality, but you're still going to experience these swings for the most part. That's what I think. Anyway.
I'm muted. Big thing with the crypto is just know what market you're in, whether you're bullish, bearish. And once you decide what the bias is, trade with that. And overall, I'm bullish, but obviously once this happens, when you lose 50, 60, 70%, we're in a bear market. And then you look for signs of when previous bear markets or pullbacks, because of the fact that BTC, every time it pulls back so freaking dramatically that it becomes like a bear market at this point on the weekly. But look for signs previously of when it turned back into more bullish market. That's what we've been doing. And then once you get those confirmations, that's when you should be, switching up and switching the bias. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much it. Sunday Market Blitz this week. Best of luck to you guys this week. We'll keep you updated in the telly. A few different things going on for the week. So we'll make some announcements in here, and all the new people, thanks for hopping on the session. And yeah, best of luck this week, guys.
Yeah. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Thanks, guys.
Peace out, everybody.
Peace.